half of Ontario adults don't have a will. The statistics are just frightening, and it comes in large part because death is not a topic people want to confront, talk about, meet with, or consider. And number two is people think that it's an expense that they would rather delay as long as they can. So that combination is a lethal combination, because what most people don't see is, of course, the problems that arise when you don't have a will. I think the reason you want to get a will is because you need to leave a clear legacy of how you want your assets to be distributed. And the only way you can do that effectively is to have it written down so that you have passed on to the next generation specifically and exactly how you want it done.
Anyone should have a will when they have assets. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot. The default in the legislation for what happens if someone dies without a will may be completely contrary to your wishes.
If you don't have a will, the recipient of the assets could be governed by the state's rules. It means that the state has a role, a direct role, in how the assets will be disposed.
And so we're distributing according to the laws. When someone dies without a will, the spouse gets the first $200,000 and will share in the residue depending on how many kids there are. An example I would give you is a client of mine whose husband passed away a couple years ago, fairly young man in his 40s, and left wife, 2 girls. There was no will. He had a little bit of money, so remember the spouse gets the first $200,000, but there was more than that in the estate. And the wife was horrified to find out that the young girls were now going to share in the excess, that they would have a fair bit of money available to them that she couldn't hold back as soon as they're 18 years of age.
The power of attorney really complements the will when it's being done, and most of the time you're going to want to do both, because the power of attorney document itself speaks to that moment in time when you are incapable or you are unable to deal with your affairs. People want to be able to know that they've got the insurance of a power of attorney document when the incapacity sets in. Then you've got a plan, and you've decided who's going to look after you in terms of the assets and how they're going to be looked after. And it's similar to a will in that sense. The single most important thing that people often miss about a power of attorney is that they don't realize it is a blank check. You are writing a check to someone that can be activated at any time if you're doing a typical power of attorney. So people don't understand that it doesn't come into effect necessarily in times of incapacity. It comes into effect at the time you sign it. So you've given the authority over, and you need to do that because you want it to be, you don't know when incapacity is coming. So you need to leave it open, and you leave that open-ended check out there. And I always explain to clients, I say, look, you're writing a blank check. You better trust the person you've written it to.
The lawyer that's drafting your will isn't just filling in the blanks. The lawyer that's drafting your will is gathering information about your assets, your family, trying to get an understanding about the family dynamics. We identify tax issues, we identify pitfalls with direct beneficiary designations and how that might affect the overall distribution of the estate.
The difficulty I find with people who want to create a shortcut through maybe an internet source or create your own document is that they won't see the impact down the road of that step. If a will isn't done correctly, you are subject to the scrutiny of the court system. And the court system, in and of itself, brings A, costs, B, uncertainty, C, delay. And the costs, I think, are the most important, because for someone to scrutinize a document through the court system, that cost, compared to someone to scrutinize the document before death, is like apples and oranges.
I have trouble understanding why people think that the time to save pennies is on planning for distributing everything you've put together in your whole life. I mean, we all may think we don't have much money in our pockets because that's what it feels like from day to day, week to week. When you die and everything is liquidated, there's usually quite a bit. The insurance, comes into play. Things that you don't get to spend because you're living in them, the house and stuff like that. That's all liquidated. There is quite a bit of cash there, even for people that don't think they have anything.